let's be real for a second. We're spending what feels like more and more time glued to our computers these days.
It's true.
And don't get me wrong, it's amazing for like productivity, staying connected.
Right.
But all those hours staring at a screen, I don't know about you, but for me, it can really take a toll.
Oh, absolutely.
You know that feeling,
Yeah.
right? Where you're just like mentally drained.
Yeah, totally.
So in this deep dive, we're going to explore a theory that really piqued my interest. One that suggests we can transform those hours, those potentially draining hours, into like a subtle therapeutic experience.
Okay, interesting.
And the secret weapon, music.
Oh, wow.
But not just like throwing on any old playlist.
Right.
This is about using music in a very specific way,
I see.
combined with a carefully crafted listening experience to reduce stress and maybe even boost well-being, all while we're sitting there, answering emails or whatever.
So it's like sneaking in a little self-care without having to, actually add anything else to our to-do list.
Exactly. And the best part, this is all about passive mindfulness.
Oh, I like that.
Meaning you don't have to actively do anything different.
Okay.
You're essentially just creating a sonic environment that quietly works its magic in the background.
A sonic environment that's conducive to well-being. That's fascinating.
It really is.
And I'm curious to dig into the details.
Yeah, me too.
Because if we're talking about using music in this very intentional way, where do we even begin?
That's a great question. And it all starts with understanding how our brains respond to sound.
Okay.
Because music in particular, it has this incredible ability to influence our mood, our focus, even our cognitive functions.
Right.
And this is key, it's not just about slapping on any old playlist.
Yeah, because if I crank up like death metal while I'm trying to write a report, that's probably not going to help my concentration.
Probably not the recipe for a productive workday.
Definitely not.
So this theory, it's all about creating what it calls a cohesive soundscape.
Okay.
And I know that might sound a little new agey, but just stick with me. Imagine it as a sonic environment that's consistent and calming, rather than jarring or distracting.
I see.
Think of it like this. Instead of a roller coaster of sound, you're aiming for like a gently flowing river.
A gently flowing river of sound. I like that.
It definitely paints a different picture than my usual like Spotify shuffle chaos.
Mine too.
A gently flowing river of sound. I like that imagery. It paints a very different picture than my usual chaotic playlist hopping. But within that consistent sonic environment, what kind of music are we actually talking about? What's going to create that river?
Right, that's where things get really interesting. This theory focuses on what it calls an organic acoustic sound signature.
Okay.
Essentially sounds that are naturally pleasing and familiar to our brains.
So something that feels more like listening to a live instrument in a natural setting rather than a heavily produced track.
Exactly. And of all the options out there, the theory points to solo guitar as the ideal choice for creating this kind of soundscape.
Interesting, solo guitar. Now that's a very specific recommendation. What is it about solo guitar that makes it so well suited for this?
It comes down to a few key factors. First, solo guitar, regardless of genre, naturally produces that organic acoustic sound we talked about. It resonates with us on a deep, almost primal level.
It's true, there's something so raw and real about the sound of the guitar. But there's more to it than just that, right?
Right. Solo guitar music also tends to be very rich in what's called music information density.
Okay.
I know that might sound a bit jargony, but...
Music information density. It does sound pretty intense. Can you break that down for me, and why is it important for this theory?
Absolutely. Think of it this way. Every note, every chord change, every subtle shift in tone or tempo adds to the information density of the music. And solo guitar, with its intricate finger-picking patterns and expressive potential, is packed with this kind of detail.
So even though it's calming and familiar, it's still engaging the brain in a nuanced way?
Precisely. It keeps the experience interesting without becoming overwhelming. And because solo guitar can be played across a wide range of genres, from classical to jazz to folk and beyond, there's a lot of room for personal preference within that consistent soundscape.
That's a great point. It's not about limiting yourself to one specific type of music, but rather finding that sweet spot where the sonic texture remains consistent, even as the genre might change.
Yes. And once you've curated your perfect playlist of solo guitar tunes, it's time to think about how you'll actually listen to them. Because believe it or not, that plays a crucial role in this theory as well.
Okay, so we've got our carefully crafted playlist ready to go. What's the next piece of the puzzle? What do we need to know to make sure we're experiencing this music in a way that maximizes its therapeutic potential? So we've got our carefully crafted playlist ready to go. What's the next piece of the puzzle? What do we need to know to make sure we're experiencing this music in a way that maximizes its therapeutic potential.
This is where the theory gets surprisingly specific, and it might surprise you to learn that it delves into the world of high-fidelity audio. Because to truly unlock the therapeutic potential of this soundscape, it needs to be experienced in its purest, most detailed form.
High fidelity audio, we're talking about going beyond just hitting play on our laptops, right?
You got it. It's about creating an audio experience that's as true to the original recording as possible, where you can hear every nuance and detail of the music. The theory specifically recommends starting with a service like Apple Music, known for its lossless audio quality.
So no more crunchy, compressed audio files. But this theory takes a step further than just choosing the right streaming service, doesn't it? It actually recommends specific audio equipment.
It does, and it's not just about being audiophiles for the sake of it. Each piece of equipment is chosen for its ability to enhance those specific qualities of solo guitar music that we talked about earlier. The organic textures, the complex layering of sound.
Okay, I'm really curious now. Walk me through this ideal setup. What kind of gear are we talking about?
The theory recommends starting with a high-quality DAC, or digital to analog converter. Think of it as the bridge between your digital music files and your speakers. And in this case, it recommends the Eversolo DMP-A8.
I have to admit, I'm not familiar with that one. What's so special about it?
This DA is known for its incredibly detailed and accurate sound reproduction. What that means for you, the listener, is that you're going to hear every delicate vibration of the guitar string, every subtle finger movement. It enhances that feeling of being immersed in the music, of almost being in the room with the musician.
Wow, that's quite a difference from my usual earbuds. But there's more to this setup, right?
There is. Next up is the amplifier. And the theory recommends pairing the Eversolo DAC with a Macintosh MC275 tube amplifier.
Okay, tube amplifiers. I've definitely heard audiophiles rave about them. But what makes them different? What do they bring to the table?
Tube amps are famous for their warm, natural sound quality. They add a richness and depth to the music that many people find incredibly pleasing to listen to. It's almost like they recreate the feeling of listening to live music in a warm, inviting space.
So you've got the source material, a high-end DC, a tube amp for warmth and depth. What about the speakers themselves? Any specific recommendations there?
Absolutely. For the final piece of the puzzle, the theory recommends electrostatic speakers, specifically the Martin Logan Montis. Now, these are known for their incredibly clear and transparent sound reproduction. They create this really immersive, almost three-dimensional listening experience.
Three-dimensional, so it's like the music isn't just coming from the speakers, it's all around you.
Exactly, and because they're so precise and detailed, you pick up on all those sonic details that might otherwise get lost. The subtle harmonics, the resonance of the guitar body. It's about maximizing that sense of presence and realism.
This is all starting to paint a very vivid picture. But it sounds like it goes beyond just having the right equipment. Placement must be important too, right?
You're right. The theory emphasizes the importance of what's called near-field listening. This means positioning the speakers relatively close to you, creating a more intimate and focused soundstage. It's almost like building a little sonic sanctuary right there in your workspace.
And I imagine this near-field setup allows those incredibly detailed speakers to really shine.
Absolutely. It's about maximizing the impact of those subtle sonic details. And the great thing is, it can be customized to your space and preferences. It's not about rigid rules, but about creating the most immersive and therapeutic experience for you.
So we've covered the what's of this theory, the music, the equipment, the setup. But what about the why? What's the deeper meaning behind all of this?
At its core, this theory is about intentionally crafting your sonic environment. It's about recognizing that the sounds we surround ourselves with have a real and measurable impact on our mental state, our focus, even our well-being.
It's a reminder that we don't have to just accept the noise and chaos of the digital world. We can actually curate our sonic experience in a way that's both enjoyable and beneficial.
Exactly. It's about taking control of your sonic environment and turning it into a tool for well-being. Instead of just enduring those hours in front of the computer, imagine transforming them into a source of subtle stress reduction and enhanced focus.
It's a really fascinating concept. It makes you wonder what other opportunities are out there for using technology in unexpected ways to enhance our lives.
That's a great question to leave our listeners with. As we delve deeper into the digital age, it's more important than ever to explore these possibilities and find ways to make technology work for us, not against us.
Thanks for diving into this intriguing theory with us today. It's been enlightening. And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has sparked some new ideas and inspired you to think differently about the role of sound in your own next time.